Through Farming Connect Horticulture, we produced a supplier standard for market gardeners and smaller growers in Wales to give them the assurance to supply into wholesale, in particular into Castle Howell, so as not to compromise the BRC standard accreditation that they have. The standard is written to provide assurance to the supply chain who demand food traceability from growing consumer awareness of pesticide issues and a need to protect and enhance the environment, as well as providing assurances in terms of health and safety and ethical working conditions.
So when we first enrolled in the standard, I was handed this big folder. Really quite large, full of pages, but it also came through on the OneDrive as well, so a digital version of it. And I have to admit, at first I was slightly daunted. It looked like a huge amount of paperwork to go through. But really, once I started getting into it, I realised that actually it was really very straightforward. It's completely adaptable, so you don't have to use the forms exactly as they are. You can edit them, pick and choose really how you present it. They can be filled out as hard copy, or you can fill them out digitally.
So before starting off the paperwork, I had an online one-to-one with Malcolm, which was hugely beneficial. Obviously, having written the standard, he was the best person to speak to about any questions that I had, and he was able to run me through the whole process really methodically. So he showed me where to start. Showed me how to fill out the risk assessments, was able to answer some of my questions about, how to fill out some of the more site-specific information. With all of that, it really helps to demystify the process, and I didn't feel like I was kind of left alone to do it, by myself.
The standard is categorised and colour-coded to help the grower collate evidence and locate the evidence when being audited. You can incorporate processes you're already carrying out to avoid duplication.
So we've adjusted the site slightly to accommodate that, so making sure we've got distinct packing areas for the veg that's going into the schools compared to our other customers. We've also had to think about adjusting our crop plan, making sure that we keep foods that are allergens really separate from other crops. If we're going to supply crops like lettuce, we'd probably alter the way that we water those crops, be more careful not to water them around days when we're going to be harvesting, and also we wouldn't wash those crops either, just to keep the level of the risk of contamination lower with those crops as well.
We're out and about in the market garden constantly, so we're always looking for potential contamination, obviously pests and diseases. So yeah, we're always looking for that. If we ever find anything in terms of pests and diseases or contamination, we record that down on a sheet that's in a folder in our propagation tunnel, so it's to hand. Everybody's briefed on it, so they know how to fill it out.
We do use knives to harvest all of the produce, and from doing the audit with Malcolm, that was one thing we really looked at, and we've created a special knife record sheet as well. So we've got one sheet that marks when knives come out into the field. It's really easy for us to put the knives into harvesting crates when we're harvesting produce, and they can often get buried or lost in those crates. So when we go back down to the shed, also on that same sheet, we've got a section where we record when the knives come back in, so we can keep an eye on whichever knives get lost. We've also got a sheet that we fill out if a knife does happen to not come back into the shed. We've got a protocol around that, where we can say what action we've taken to minimise the risk of that knife coming into the food chain.
So managing risk is really important, particularly with harvest. So we always ensure that anybody who's involved in harvesting obviously washes their hands before they touch any of the produce, wear gloves where appropriate, wear hats, so you don't get any kind of contamination with hair. And also we're very fastidious about how we keep our harvesting equipment, so it's always locked away when it's not in use. We have a form to fill out every day, obviously showing the harvest equipment is fit for purpose and that none of it's gone missing. And like I said, that's all locked away at the end of the day as well. So yeah, these are sort of really key things that we do to ensure the highest standards really. And like I've said before, the forms that come with the standards just streamline that process, make it a lot easier.
We harvest everything to order for the schools project, and we pick on a Thursday morning and Castle Howe come and collect about 11 o'clock. We harvest them into special orange crates that are specifically for that, and if we need to store them, we put them into a container that's just sort of like to the right of the shed. So every crop that's harvested, we record who has harvested it on that day, the quantity and the area that it's come from as well, so that if we ever get any issues, we're able to see exactly where it's come from and who harvested it that day.
In terms of post-harvest storage, I mean, we really try to ensure that we don't have to hold on to crops very long. We try to harvest as close to collection or delivery as possible. When we do have to store things, we have 2 commercial-sized fridges in the processing unit, which are obviously controlled in terms of their temperature, and we're daily recording those temperatures as well, so we know whether anything is kind of going amiss. So we do try to keep washing crops to a minimum if we can.
This is a working process where if there are barriers, we work with the growers to achieve the desired result. And there's a tremendous amount of support available through ourselves to help with that process and to complete the forms.
And the other thing, of course, is that not every part of the standard is applicable to every grower. So for us, of course, we're growing, but we also have the processing unit, so there's that kind of additional level of the standard that we need to look at, but that's not going to be the case for everybody. So yeah, it might seem very daunting at first, particularly when you're feeling quite time pressured, but really, once you get into it, it is very straightforward and it's not that daunting.
I felt really supported by the Farming Connect horticulture scheme. The communication channels have been really strong, really quick, really reliable.
We've implemented the supplier standard to ensure food safety, but at the same time it's highlighted best practice and raised standards.
The standard, I think, is really key for public procurement in particular, because it provides the customers with an assurance that the growers are upholding really high standards. It's something everybody can look at and understand. And it provides the growers themselves as well, I think, with that peace of mind and assurance. They know that they're doing things properly.
It's been really useful for us in our organic certification preparation to have the grower standards behind us. We've been able to use a lot of the same sheets that we use for the organic standards in our organic inspection as well. So it's been really useful, making our organic inspection a lot less stressful and more streamlined.
This process has definitely given us an advantage in the sense that, we're going back to what I said earlier really about sharpening up the way we think about how we do things here, and that assistance with the admin and having those templates, that's been really key. So yeah, I would urge any grower really who's keen to kind of get involved in that to go through this process. It's very beneficial.
The supplier standard ensures legal compliance, it encourages best practice and it gives confidence for the grower and the supplier.